And we're live.
We're live? All right. What is up? Twitter. Oh, shit. Sorry. What's up, Twitch? Oh, my God. Can we edit that out?
I'm the one drinking right now.
I know. It's been a long week. Um, well, hello, Twitch. This is the Sanity Check podcast. I am one of your hosts for the podcast. I am Big Iron. I have my co-host here, BombertKaboom.
Yo.
And today, what are we exploring today? What are we talking about?
The grim dark future of Warhammer 40k.
There you go. Now, we made a promise long ago to certain viewers and people that we know that we were going to cover this topic. And since it's been how long has it been since we actually talked about a tabletop property? Has it been almost 2 years almost now?
Of this podcast?
On this podcast, because I remember all last year we just kind of more talked about other media and such, because we were kind of expanding.
See, since we started about, it's 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, actually, no. 7 months now.
There you go. So, yeah, when we started, season 2 of the podcast. Now, oh, by the way, welcome to season 3 of the Sandy Check podcast. Well, before we start with the main topic of the podcast, just letting everyone know, sorry that we were gone for so long. Me and Bombert decided to take a winter break for family and the holidays and such, and also we were extremely busy with other stuff. We are going to try to get out a podcast every Thursday as best as we can from now on. Isn't that right, Bombert?
Oh, yeah.
But let's start with the topic. Warhammer 40k.
Not Warhammer Fantasy. That's a completely different thing. Wow. It's a completely different thing.
It is completely different. But they have elements that are thematically and texturally kind of similar. They are totally different games. And for those who don't know what Warhammer 40k is, which, by the way, for those who don't know, have you guys been living under a rock for like 5 years? But if you've been a Patrick Star fish, Warhammer 40k, or just 40k as we like to call it in the community, is a tabletop war game where you play as multiple factions in a sci-fi, horror, dark fantasy universe with so much lore to it. Like, oh my god, so much lore.
There are books, like a lot of books. Like,
yeah,
lots of books.
Novels
too.
Yeah. But the main appeal of the game is that you're playing different types of factions. There's a variety of them. There's a lot of them at this point. They added a lot more since when I first played. But the main skivvy is there are a few factions that are really important to the setting. The obvious one is the Imperium of Man, which is a fascist, totalitarian governmental body that rules most of the galaxy, and it is protected by multiple armed forces, such as the poster boy of the game, the Space Marines. Or as I think one time, Bomber, you told me the dudes in blue.
Well, the dudes in blue is one of the factions. Sorry.
Sub factions.
One of the sub factions. Oh my god! It's like it's like you're like, all right, Space Marines. Okay, which one?
What?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Well, there's this guys, there's these guys, there's that guys, and these guys.
There's a lot.
and there's 12 sub factions led by 12 Primarchs, and it's just like,
And
and then you got the Imperia, which that's a whole new other This are just the humans, by the way.
yeah, this is just the human factions. We haven't even gotten to the factions like Chaos, like Chaos Space Marines, Chaos Demons, and then you have the Xenos, which are the alien factions, and there's multiples of them, like the Orcs, the guys that go Wog, and they're the big green dudes that are like soccer hooligans. And then you have the Eldar, both the dark and light variety. You also have, they're space elves, by the way, essentially. Then you have the Tau, which are a caste system of blue aliens that like diplomacy and are really good at. Oh, hi, Kishi. Hi, baby. Who's your good girl? Sorry about that. That was my cat.
It's a
Yeah,
kid.
kitty. It's a kitty. There's a there's a ton of factions. There's also like the Necrons. I'm probably missing a few right now. Like there's just so many. There are literally so many factions. Like Tyranids, they're like giant bugs. Necrons are walking undead Terminator skeletons. We're not, by the way, we are not going to go through the entirety of Warhammer in one podcast. If we did, it would literally take, oh God, like maybe like 5 days in a row.
There's a lot. But we're only going to skim minimum.
Yeah, we're gonna do a minimum skim of mainly the tabletop game itself, which Bomber, you don't have much of a experience with. Is that correct?
I never played the actual tabletop game.
I did, so
I've never played the actual tabletop game. I was more into the video games themselves, as well as I read some of the novels, and I'm been fascinated with the lore.
right, and that is perfectly fine. I have played the game, so to get a idea of how long ago I played, my first Warhammer set was a set called Warhammer 40,000 Assault on Blackreach. That box set came out in 2008, and I collected right up until 2014-15. I'll sometimes get like a model or two and I'll paint, but I do not play the game anymore. So I am very, very behind on how the game is played now, but it's pretty much it's just a war game. It's literally a tabletop war game. You get minis, you put them together, you paint them if you want to. You really should. Remember, thin your paints. See, yeah, you're probably thinking of the memes of
And your paints will thin your kneecaps.
yeah, and there's also like the one Space Marine that was painted by somebody who did not thin their paints. It's like, Father, why do I suffer?
And then
Kill me.
They drop them in acetone. They're like, we gotta milk you.
I'm gonna milk you. But it's just like this universe is so huge, and the game has been around. The game has been around since literally the late 80s. So there's been a couple of editions of Warhammer. The latest edition right now is 9th edition. Yeah, there have been 9 editions to this freaking game. Multiple factions being printed out. It's and just so you guys know, this is a game that was made by a company called Games Workshop, which is
now renamed to be just Warhammer.
No, it's still Games Workshop. It's
What?
the company is just called Warhammer. The manufacturer is called Games Workshop.
The fuck?
I've been missing fake news.
This misinformation.
When I purposely spread misinformation. But the first edition of Warhammer. Funnily enough, it was an edition that was called Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader. It wasn't even it. And the funny thing about this game, it came out in 1987, and it was written by a guy named Rick Priestley, who is still in the company to this day. By the way, still in 2023, he is still working there. This little game came out, and the funny thing is, Bombert, it wasn't a tabletop war game. It was an RPG. You heard that right. It was a fucking RPG before it became a war game. Hello?
I heard you.
Okay. I was just
I'm
like,
looking up information because I'm like, I've been lied to.
it's all right. But the big thing is, Rogue Trader was the first edition, and it was more like an RPG. Also, the setting was a little bit different at the time. The rules and the lore that we have now was a bit different. It wasn't as centralized as, and more combed through with a fine brush. Now, but thankfully, after a year, I think almost, oh my god, this game is almost 40 years old. It's 40 fucking years old, this game. So, yeah, that is my experience. And if anyone's wondering what my first actual army was, it was Space Marines. It was mainly Blood Angels was my first army. Yeah, I know. Then I really collected, and I also painted and played Chaos Space Marines because they're still my favorite faction, because they're so cool. And then did Space Wolves, the Edge. No, and then I played Space Wolves as well. Here, hold on a second. My cat's eating out of my other cat's bowl. 1 second. I'm back. Sorry about that. One of my cats decided to eat out of the other cat's bowl because she is a fat fuck. Yes, now I have 2 cats. Oh, she's so chunky, and she's a fatty. She's so chunky. She literally eats out of Lovecraft's bowl, and I have to stop her. It's like, no. I honestly really should have called her either La Grande or just La Chunk, but oh well, it is what it is. So yeah, that was actually a thing I was going to talk about is favorite factions within the game. And you start, Bombert. Mm-hmm. Sorry about that.
Oh, he's right there right now.
So, well, the reason why it seems like it's nonsensical, Bombert, is it's because orcs have this. It's like a psychic field that they all have. It's called the Wog. So when they all scream "Wog," they're actually channeling. They're all psychic. Yeah, Wog. They're all channeling their psychic potential. So the reason why their guns look like they should work is because they actually don't. They only work because they believe it does. It's the same thing with their vehicles. You know, they believe red makes things go faster.
The red ones go faster.
So they go faster. It's the same with like yellow is lucky and it gets you lots of money, or in their culture, teeth.
It's look, I grew a love to them, and I love them so much. But I also love the
I do too.
like, oh, nacho. As well as the Space Marines themselves. Like,
well, you like the Dark Angels a lot, right? Just because of their aesthetic.
I used to, but then I just kind of, I don't know, like, it just changed over time.
Right.
Like, my taste right now, oh, nacho.
Oh,
Give me a
someone's
sec.
being a baby. Someone is being a baby. Well, my taste for Space Marines has always been like Blood Angels and the Space Wolves, but honestly, I've been really enjoying. Surprisingly, I really enjoy the Ultramarines. I love their aesthetic and the deep lore that they have during the Horus Heresy, like stuff like the Mark of Cath, the rivalry with the World Eaters, or sorry, not World Eaters, Word Bearers, and just their novels are just fucking amazing. Like I love Dan Abbott's uh Horus Heresy novels. They are all excellent novels. Oh god, we might have to do a whole separate podcast just about the Horus Heresy, Bombert. There's so much lore and there's so much to go on. It's ridiculous. I think he's still currently dealing with Pupper? Possibly. Oh, he's still dealing with Dog. Maybe someday I might get my own cam and I'll just have like a cat cam. Get those views, you know? Take a quick commercial break, everyone. It looks like Bombert is deposed at the moment.
I'm back.
Oh, there he goes. Never mind.
Apparently,
So-
someone's fixing my sister's car out front, so I'm like,
Mhm.
okay.
There you go. But I was saying to the audience which ones I like, but I'll tell you after you finish up with your favorite.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead and tell me. I'm just,
Okay.
because I'm like,
You'll piggyback off it.
yeah.
Okay, that works. Like I was saying to the audience, one faction that I surprisingly really like, I actually like the Ultramarines a lot. I like the big blue Smurfs. Here's the reason why. It's because I read their Horus Heresy novels. I totally understand them. I get the appeal. I now think they are one of the cooler Space Marine chapters slash legions. Period. They're just a very cool culture about them, and the writing for them is usually really, really good. It didn't used to be. There's a reason why people kind of, you know, have a poo-poo attitude with the Ultramarines. It's because they're everywhere. They're kind of like
I just do it because of the memes.
yeah. Well, the memes are funny. Ultra sigh. Ultra depression. But another faction that I really love, and Bombert knows that I love a lot, is the Chaos faction. I love Chaos. This is such a cool faction. Um, what would you describe them like, Bombert? Like the best way to describe them?
The fuck around and find out kind of thing. They fucked around, they found out, they're like, you know what? We like it.
Yeah. You know, it's funny you say that. That is the most simple and elegant way that describes them. But for those who don't know, chaos is there's this concept in the game in the lore called the warp, which is like this. It's like a sea of psychic energy that's like an alternate reality, and they don't have warp drives like in other sci-fi shows, like Star Trek has a warp drive, or Star Trek or Star Wars. um but in 40k they use um they use the warp itself to travel at faster distances. The warp is hell, by the way. It is literally hell. Like, there are fucking demons everywhere. And they have to have this thing called a Geller field around their ships, because if they don't have it, the moment it turns off or they don't have it, nasty, horrible things are going to happen. It's like, have y'all seen Event Horizon? It's like that.
Something's gonna come out, or something's gonna go wrong, like really quick.
Very, very quickly. But the um and the thing is, this faction of chaos is within the warp, and there's 4 gods of chaos. There's Khorne, Slanesh, Tzeentch, and then there's Nurgle. And they all represent kind of certain concepts. So,
No, I'm sorry. Memes. Continue.
oh no, are you looking at Warhammer memes?
No.
Yeah, he's looking at memes.
No, I'm actually looking at the wiki. The wiki!
But shit, I was about to say. So each chaos god is representative of a concept or emotions that are tied to that concept. Example is like corn, not corn as in the food. It's corn flakes. Corn likes corn. I love corn on the cob, especially with butter on it.
Anyway, continue.
But like with corn, his whole shtick is he's the god of blood. He represents things like rage, fighting prowess, murder, genocide, things that are tied to the fact that you are spilling blood, and it doesn't, and it's not your blood, it's someone else's, is the key term. And yeah, so that's the chaos fact. Oh, and besides the chaos demons, which are kind of the minions of these gods, there's also the fallen space marines that have been corrupted by chaos, the chaos space marines, which are led by Abaddon the Despoiler, who is like the most powerful chaos space marine in the entire galaxy, bar none. And there's a lot more lore and such. All right. But that's really it for my favorites. Sorry it took so long to talk about. There's a lot to talk about.
Anyway,
yeah.
I guess my favorite, Space Marine faction will either be the Imperial Fists or the Salamanders.
Oh, you mean the 2 of the nicer Space Marine factions?
Yeah.
Yeah, that isn't that funny that these so-called defenders of humanity are some of the most inhuman monsters possible.
There are no good guys in this series.
Yeah, that was a thing I was gonna mention. We got further into the podcast, but yeah, there are no good factions. Even like the supposed good faction of the Tau, they have a dark side to them. Uh, but yeah, Imperial Fists and Salamanders is a good choice.
And
They're pretty cool
of course, like
faction.
I said, I love the orcs, but
Hmm.
what was that?
Um,
Huh? You got something to say about that? You just got something about the greenbacks?
I do. Welcome. No, I'm just kidding. um, well, since I guess we kind of talked about the lore a little bit, and even I guess we talked a little bit about the game, but not too much. I guess uh what would be your I guess we can kind of talk about the tabletop games besides the actual war game that you can actually play if you want to get in more into the 40K universe. There are a ton of RPGs, by the way, so
Some are rare. Like,
yeah. Warhammer's kind of had a very, what's the word I want to say? Turbulent relationship with other companies when it comes to publishing their material that they don't directly, publish themselves. Um, I mean, you've heard about my continual, well, you know about my continual search for one of their games. It was called Only War, and that game is so hard to find now, like a physical copy.
physical copy as well as Horse. The Horse, Dark Watch book itself is like, jeez, our local game shop, like someone turned it in and they're selling it now for like what, $900 or $500?
Yeah, it's about $500. It's because it's the company Fantasy Flight, which they used to do all of the RPGs for Warhammer 40K and then a few for Fantasy as well. Um, they pretty much lost the license. And then there have been other subsequent games, such as Wrath and Glory, which is the current one that I have, which is a pretty good game. It's really free forming. It's got like a tier system, so if you want to play tier one, which is like Imperial Guard guys, like the guys with the shirts and the flashlights, that meme, up to you play like I think it's like tier 5 or something like that, where you just play like Primaris Space Marines and like Eldar extracts and like the most powerful kind of individual in that setting, pretty much. So yeah. Oh man, it's funny. I have a lot to talk about, but Bombard, it's kind of hard to talk about because you never unfortunately got to play the game.
Yeah, because we've been trying to play the tabletop, not the war game itself, but the actual tabletop RPG because, well, some of our friends have no interest in it.
Yeah, and and it's okay if they're not into it. But the thing is, it's mostly we haven't gotten to play one of these games in years. It's kind of like I know the one game that you really want to play, but it just never seems to go anywhere. Isn't that Polaris?
Oh yeah, Polaris.
Mm-hmm. That's one game that I know you would love to DM it and do, but it's just kind of just never really happens.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors. Um, with me, it's like doing oh, fuck. um, probably I don't really actually have anything because I've actually gotten to DM what I wanted so far. Um, oh no, finish a Digimon campaign
Oh yeah.
someday. Finish the Justice League game. Damn it. It's all right though. We're doing a superhero game right now with you DMing, and
Yeah.
it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, we're at towards the end.
How many sessions do we have left? Walk around and find out.
No.
Oh, you're just not gonna.
I'm just not gonna say anything.
Oh, you bastard. But yeah. With 40K, there's this kind of. I guess we can kind of talk about one of the reasons why 40K has been around for so long is because of this thing that it's all about. It's about this thing called Grimdark. If you don't know what Grimdark is, it's where it's a thing where a setting is very nihilistic, very dark and depressing. Another example would be like, I know definitely Bombert you would know, would be like Berserk. Berserk is grimdark.
Yeah.
Or another show that I know you love, obviously, is like Attack on Titan is grimdark. It's very grimdark.
Yeah.
It's just like a style where not everyone is a hero, or it's more like the heroes are not clear cut. The villains aren't exactly villains. In fact, sometimes the villains are more heroic than the heroes at times, or have like legitimate reasons why they do the things they do.
Like basic grimdark is like what they call anti-Tolkien.
Pretty much, like everything is hopeful, and things will be all right and such.
But
It's
then
like no,
grimdark, which is not.
yeah, it's like things are going to get worse and worse. Humanity in Warhammer is screwed. They're um, they rule the galaxy, but it's not like they hold it like firmly. They live under an oppressive, fascistic regime that calls their own population for anything, literally anything, because they have a fucking Inquisition. Oh shit, we talked about the Inquisition.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It was expected.
Why is there a red dot?
But
Sorry, I was being quiet for a second because I was like, oh my god, did he actually get shot? No, I did not.
I don't know. There's actually an opposite of grimdark. It's called hope punk.
What is it called?
Hope punk.
Oh, Hope Punk. Oh, so it's Tolkien, pretty much.
Pretty much.
I might have to check that out.
It's a subgenre.
Or I think it used to be called like something bright. Anyway,
speculation explores resistance, rebellion, resilience, and counters to apathy and cynicism.
Oh, I get it. So kind of like Owl House is kind of
radical empathy and radical kindness.
That's Owl House.
Yeah.
By the way, we might have to do a podcast on that show someday.
Well, it's finally done.
Yes, which I am so hyped for the next episode coming out. It's coming out this month. I need to know what happens to my babies.
The babies.
Our babies. Gotta save King. Poor King. Leave your son alone, you bastards. Oh, anyway. So, to get back on topic, sorry. But it's like, with Warhammer, the whole thing is pretty much, the Imperium is not the good guys. I know some people, they advertise the Space Marines as these heroic, guardians of humanity, the best, the exemplars of humanity. The truth is,
when it boils down to it,
yeah, is the Imperium is a grinding, fascistic nightmare, um, where human lives don't matter.
They would literally not hesitate to nuke an entire planet just to get rid of one army
One person.
or one person.
It's called exterminatus, which is a thing that they are willing to do. And not only that,
And they'll kill they'll kill their own men for it too.
oh yeah, no, the Imperial Guard multiple times has been shown that the higher ups will kill entire companies of men. There's like thousands of these of in these companies. They just cull them, like just completely destroy them, wipe them out if they either they mention or they see something that is heretical or they weren't meant to see, or just any reason that is a good enough reason to the higher ups that it's a good enough reason for them to, to destroy them.
Like, no retreat, keep going.
It's Soviet Russia in the Battle of Stalingrad.
Like,
you don't retreat, you keep going.
Like, no, like, tactical retreat, just to flank the others. No, keep going forward.
It's all about going forward. At least with the Imperial Guard. Space Marines are a little bit more tactical because they actually have the resources to do so.
As well as they look at the Imperial Guards, they'll fucking defend them too.
Yes, that's the big thing.
Like, even from like, this is the difference between the Imperial Guards and the Space Marines, is they'll actually defend their fellow man sometimes to like, even to their own commanding officer.
Yeah, and commissars.
Yeah.
And with the Space Marines, I was going to get to that. Space Marines are not human. They are transhuman. They are beyond humanity. They have been surgically and chemically and biologically and even cybernetically enhanced to the point where they are superhumans. These are not regular. This isn't like Fallout where it's just, I'm a regular soldier, but I'm wearing power armor.
No.
In Warhammer, a Space Marine is someone who has been subjected to years of torturous augmentation. And then there's also the psychotherapy that they have to go through that makes them completely and utterly loyal to the Imperium. It doesn't help still.
That's why some of them have what looks like they have like metal plates on them and on their bodies and such. That's why when you actually look what is underneath the Space Marine armor, they are fucking huge.
Yeah, because they're not meant they're not meant to be humans, so why bother making them look human?
The Primarchs, which is basically the leaders, or the leaders.
They're the genetic template of all Space Marine legions / chapters.
But each of them are they're depicted as demigod, which kind of
they are. No, they are. They just. It's not even like they kind of are. No, they are. They are demigods.
Because the Emperor of Mankind is. He's definitely a god king.
He's very much a god king. He is the most powerful psyker in the entire galaxy. We didn't really mention the Emperor of Mankind, which is funny because
boy himself,
Big E,
Big E M himself, Mr. Skelly Boy. Currently Mr. Skelly Boy.
Oh, he's very much Skelly Boy right now. I have an itch on my nose. I can't itch it. I haven't had a nose in nearly 10,000 years.
And then, if you ever read Dune and such which that's also one of the biggest influences of
The influences. Or like they stole.
Sorry, let me quickly talk about the influences. The biggest influences of Warhammer 40k itself is Tolkien's work, Lovecraft's work, Dune: Paradise Lost in 2000 AD, and some parts from the physical form of the warp itself was from Forbidden Planet. The God King himself, the God Emperor himself, is actually inspired by various fictional God Kings, such as Leto Atreides II, the God Emperor of Dune.
The big worm himself.
Yeah.
That might be an episode we might have to talk about. So,
Dude.
Atraxis.
Rax.
The spice.
But anyway, back to the G himself.
Yeah, it's. Oh, what's up?
No, I was kind of laughing because all right, we're talking about the guy himself.
That's true.
And I instantly just kept thinking of Henry Cavill memes for some reason.
I know. I can't wait for that movie and TV show that he's doing. That's gonna be fucking sweet.
Henry, if you're listening to this, please, we support you.
We love you, bro. Good luck. Anyway, so the big thing is with the Emperor of Mankind is in universe, he's presented as this benevolent god to the Imperium. Keyword, just to the Imperium. He's their protector, he's the guy who created it all, but as you kind of look into the lore and you look deeper into it, you find out that the Emperor of Mankind is a total fucking asshole, and he has murdered people for petty, egotistical reasons. He's a monster. But you also kind of, it's really, you don't know whether, you see, you have to understand with the Emperor is that he's a psyker. Quick thing with psychers are like people who have psychic powers, pretty much. And the Emperor was the most powerful of them all. He was the most powerful human psyker in existence. There's been theories. I don't know if you heard about this, Bombert. There have been theories of the Emperor actually foresaw what was going to happen. And he did. What was that?
I said I've heard of this.
Oh yeah, you heard of this? Okay. Where he saw what was going to happen, or at least he saw outcomes of what might happen if either he did do what he did something differently, or just didn't do it. He chose the most assured future or at least by according to this theory that's been going on. So he picked the future that he knew would happen, and it was the best possible outcome to him. That, if you think about it, that is fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
Because who knows what else he saw. And he never told anyone, because he was also really egotistic, and he would never tell anyone what he knew. He didn't even tell his own secrets to his own sons, the Primarchs, which was a big reason why the Horus Heresy happened. It's almost as if he engineered everything from the beginning. Wink, wink. So, yeah. Emperor of Mankind. Biggest hero or biggest villain? You be the judge.
Oh, topical.
Also, yes, Leto II is a pretty damn cool character. I love that book, the God Emperor of Doom.
I'm just waiting for when they actually they
adapt it,
or that, as well as they continue the stories. Like what I want them just to get up to the God Emperor of Dune and then just stop after that, because there is no way you can fucking top that shit off after that, because it's so fucking bizarre, and it's such a turn and twist. You're like, oh god, this is so good, but oh god,
Oh, are you talking about the ghost personalities that like Paul takes over a clone body or whatever? Are you talking about that?
Yeah, with like in God Emperor of Dune, and then suddenly like his fucking son becomes a goddamn worm. You're like, oh god, this is too weird for television.
So fucking weird. But you know what? That's the funny thing also is that Dune was such an influence on Warhammer because Warhammer does also lay out why you should not trust leaders like Leto and the Emperor of Mankind. You know, these very charismatic, godlike beings who, they just want to help humanity. You should not trust them. You really shouldn't trust them. So, yeah. What else should we talk about with Warhammer? I mean, we have about 25 minutes left in the podcast, so
Man,
this one won't be super long.
we pretty much like covered like a
The
what
main
we can
city.
cover in an span of that many minutes.
Yeah. What's the mark so far?
Right now we're at 46 minutes.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
we pretty much covered like, I guess again, the very skim basis
Cliff notes
of the notes of Warhammer, because
Yeah.
like we previously discussed, if we were to keep going with the lore, oh god, we're gonna have to do like 2 more parts. Like I would recommend just checking the actual source material out, the wiki, and I want to promote a series, but
Yeah, unfortunately we cannot anymore because it's not a series that exists anymore.
according to Warhammer.
Well, that's the thing. I guess we can kind of talk about Games Workshop a little bit. Here, 1 second. There's something going on outside my door. 1 second.
I'm gonna lock my doors.
There's a fucking fire truck out there at my apartment. I don't know why. I don't see anything on fire. Alright. Sorry about that. I'm back. Hello?
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so, I guess we can kind of talk about Games Workshop in itself.
Hold on. Before you do anything.
Oh.
Okay, I had to look outside my window. Okay, what's up?
You're safe.
No, I'm not.
They're not there.
We're never
the
safe.
The variants aren't outside. Just let me in. Let me in. Let me in, Bomber. Fucking Mandela effect. Or Mandela Chronicles or whatever you fucking call them. Catalog, sorry. The Mandela catalogs. Ooh, Jesus. Anyway, with Games Workshop. So, as much as I love their games, Games Workshop has an unfortunate history of being kind of, what's the nicest way to put this? Kind of dicks when it comes to fan stuff. I mean, we were kind of talking about, I guess we can say the name of it. But we're not going to really promote it. If the
Unfortunately.
Emperor,
Oh,
what?
sorry. Go on.
If the Emperor had a text to speech.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Good show. It's
That's all
okay
we can
though.
talk about.
Oh no! I see the SWAT team. It's the Games Workshop SWAT team. They've come to get me. Ah! No, but they unfortunately that was a really popular series. There was a few other ones. There was one called Astartes and a bunch of other ones. Games Workshop decided that they wanted the whole piece of the pie. They just wanted the whole pie and no one else would get it. So they made it where fan content had to be approved by them, and if it wasn't, they would, you know, copyright strike it, and if you went through them, they would make money, not you, or anything like that. It's a lot more complicated than as I'm at what I'm saying, but that's that's the gist of it. Rest in peace, Emperor Texas Speech. You are awesome.
He actually helped me understand the lore.
He did?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It helped. It finally let me understand. Like, I get it now.
Now I understand.
I understand.
Fully. No, but the one thing I will say is there's, if we're gonna promote actual channels that are still up and they are still going, one channel that I would recommend for Warhammer stuff would be Oculus Imperita. They're a lore channel. They are awesome. They have really good music. They're not just reading off of the wiki like some lore channels do. I hate it when they do that. Why do they do that? Like some channels, like, do your own fucking thing.
I don't know, 'cause I guess it's just there. But yeah, I agree.
Like, he actually puts Oculus puts a lot of time and effort into his work and such.
Uh-oh. The warp has taken them.
Oh, I just came back from the warp.
It's funny, I just made that joke, but the warp took them.
Oh, God. I saw too much. I'm sorry. I just set myself on fire. Ah! I can be clean. But Oculus Impera is a pretty good channel. Check them out. If you want to see actual gameplay of Warhammer, there's Mini Wargaming. Guys like Mini Wargaming Dave, pretty good stuff. So, but yeah, maybe
sometimes there's some animations based on
yeah,
Warhammer.
Yeah, like Astartes. It's still up there, by the way. You can still watch it on YouTube. Check that shit out. It's good.
And you can also play the games too, like the
Yeah,
newest one that just came out, Dark Tide.
Dude,
I want to play that.
It's so bad. It's not on PS5. God damn it!
I'm waiting to come in on the fucking Xbox, so it's crossplay.
Oh, it's bullshit. Why isn't an Xbox exclusive?
It's not.
Fuck. Wait, it's not? I thought it was.
No, it's not even on the Xbox.
What?
It's going to be.
It's not going to be on the PS5. Not bitter. Not bitter at all. Okay, maybe a little bitter. What was I about to say? Oh, there are some other games that you can play to get you into Warhammer. There's obviously the Dawn of War series.
Good shit.
Very good shit. They're on Steam. You can literally get the first two and their expansions for maybe less than $30 together.
I would wait till they're on sale.
They're usually pretty cheap.
Yeah, but still, get them on sale regardless.
For sure. Another game that if you want to play 40K, there's a few other games like Space Marine, Space Hulk. Yeah, Space Hulk is a good one. Well, Space Hulk is great because it's an actual recreation of the actual board game Space Hulk. It's a pretty good one. There's also Space Marine, which lets you play as a Space Marine, and it's God, I love that game. I can't wait for the sequel. It's gonna be so good.
When they announced the sequel, I know that the sequel's coming, but when we actually get to see some shit from the Game Awards,
dude, that trailer is so hype.
Are we
and
gonna
then
get Mark Strong again?
Unfortunately not. It kind of sucks because I really liked his performance in the first game.
I just like the fucking mods in that game where suddenly they just change his fucking voice. It's just the Chaos Space Marine just screaming. Ah! And it's just
no reason, only war.
And it's just incoherent screaming.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Funny shit. Some good shit right there. Another good game. If you like Diablo clones, there's Warhammer Inquisitor, which is pretty good. You can get that on a plethora of platforms. I'm trying to think of another Warhammer. There's Deathwing. There's a Deathwing? Oh my god. It's the one that it's kind of like Vermintide, but you play as Space Marines. I forget what it's called. That's dark. That's anyway, whatever. There's also some other games that you can play. All you gotta do is just go to Steam if you have a. What's that? Deathwing.
Space Hulk Deathwing.
There you go. Play that game. It's pretty good.
Play it with friends though.
Yeah, don't play by yourself. Unfortunately,
It's hard as fuck even on the easy settings.
Yeah, no, you need other people because the AI sucks cock.
No, like you need other people even on the easy settings on just buy with your friends. You gotta have patience for this game, but once you find the flow, then you can rock it out. But goddamn, it is it's a slog.
It's a lot of work for a video game. But so there's plenty of other games. If you just go to Steam and just type in Warhammer, you will get a ton of games, and most of them are pretty good. Just don't play the card games. They're awful. Don't play any of the free to play shit. They're all bad. I've tried them all. So but yeah, and then obviously, like what Bombert also said, if you want to also get into the lore, you should read the novels. There's plenty of novels out there. God, there's so many novels, dude. Too many. But yeah. And then if you are interested in playing the actual tabletop game, first off, get a bank loan because it's very expensive.
It's a very expensive hobby.
Oh god, it's so expensive. Unreasonably so.
Like I just looked up to say, all right, I want to get a tank. Like I want to get a tank and paint it, and then I looked up and like, oh my god, that's as much as a fucking brand new game, a new current brand new video game and shit like that, full price, and for a piece of plastic too.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. Games Workshop prices out their miniatures that way. There are other ways to do to kind of bypass that kind of price. You can buy from secondhand sellers. You can go through Amazon, eBay. Printing. You didn't hear that from me though. What are we talking about?
Nothing.
Right. But there are ways to get into the hobby, and you don't even have to play the game. If you just want to buy the models or get the models and just paint them up, you're more than welcome to do so. I mean, that's what I do now. I don't even play the game anymore.
I just want to get some models for just display.
Is it like mostly like orcs and space marines that you want to get?
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
There are individual characters that you can get.
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay. Yeah. So there's ways to get into the hobby. But yeah. Yeah, that's probably gonna be it for this Warhammer
Yeah,
podcast.
pretty
I don't
much.
know what we're I mean, we kind of went through the I want to say like the bare minimum this of this franchise. There's a lot more podcasts that are way more in depth. Um, you can just look up like any Warhammer podcast, and you will probably get a more in depth look at Warhammer. But this is kind of like our feelings on the franchise, and also kind of like the cliff notes, just like you said,
It's also
Bomber.
been a while since we did did a podcast, so we're kind of out of the groove right now.
It's not even that. That's not that bad. I mean, it's just mostly like, I mean, it's just fun doing the podcast,
It
you know.
is.
Now, I don't know what we're gonna do for next week. We don't usually see. There's other podcasts that plan ahead what they're going to do. We, on the other hand, just kind of like we pick a topic, like 6, like maybe like a couple days beforehand, and we just go with it.
Unfortunately, our schedules keep fluctuating, so it's kind of
Yeah,
difficult.
unfortunately, yeah, especially right now. My job's gonna be a little harder because we're going to be switching over to 10-hour days, 4 10-hour days. I'll still be able to do the podcast, but oh fuck, I'm gonna be really fucking tired on Thursdays.
Do a bitch.
I will. Just give me a monster and I'll be fine.
No
Give me
ketchup,
2.
just sauce.
No ketchup. No ketchup.
Sauce.
The sauce.
All right.
But
Well, I think we're good for here. So I end the podcast.
yeah. So so we'll see you next week on Thursday, and remember, the Emperor protects.